Hi, Dripping Springs. It's Ashley Tellis with another small business spotlight. Today, I am joined by Matt Aycock. He is owner of Salty Bear Co. Hi, Matt. How are you?
Hi, I'm doing really well this morning. Thanks for having me. And how are you doing?
I am doing really, really good. So, Matt, I have seen a little bit of your work, and if I'm not mistaken, you're a woodworker. What do you specialize in? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, we specialize in high-end grain cutting boards, and they're edge grain or in grain. I'm sorry.
Okay.
And what that does is that's the kind of board a chef will use, and they'll last for generations. These are the kind of boards that your kids will have, and they'll give them to your grandkids, and that kind of stuff. We also make charcuterie boards and noodle boards and all of those kind of stuff. But my love and my passion is the in grain.
Awesome. How did you find yourself with that as a passion?
Oh, I've done woodworking since I was, I don't know, 4 or 5. My uncle out in El Paso was a shop teacher and then a principal, and he passed his love of it on to me. My grandfather on the other side was an electrician, and he loved woodworking. So it just got passed on to me, and I fell in love with it. I took my first shop class in middle school and made a table that actually won best in state when I was
Oh,
in middle.
wow.
Yeah, so I've been doing it my whole life. And COVID, ironically, gave me the opportunity to turn it into a job.
That's
And
awesome. So you're a newer business, and am I understanding COVID's kind of what launched you into this full time?
yes, yes, that's exactly what happened. Got laid off during COVID, like a lot of Americans, and I made a board to say thank you to a friend, and it just kind of blew up from there. With Instagram and Facebook and social media these days. You never know what's going to happen, and I was blessed to actually have a decent 2020, unlike most people.
Yeah, yeah. That is amazing. You were able to pivot and find a silver lining amongst everything going on. And who knows if 2021 is going to be any kinder to anybody. I don't know. Remains to be seen, but we're going to keep marching forward. So
Yeah.
your company name is Salty Bear Co. Tell me a little bit about that. Where did that name come from? Because you don't
Okay.
have a lot of salt in your beard. Don't
It's getting
seem like
there.
a grumpy guy. Tell me more about that.
Definitely not. And a lot of the questions I get are actually pretty funny about that because they think it's salty like a salty old man or a salty beer.
Get
But
off my lawn.
and I'll get comments like, "You're just not salty. You're the happy guy. Like it doesn't fit." And I'm like, "No, no, no. It's salty because I love the beach."
Oh, okay.
And I would go, I grew up in San Antonio, and I would run down to the coast and do day trips and learn to surf. It wasn't very good surfing, but I just love the beach and I love everything about the beach. So that's the salty. And then the bear is I'm a very diehard and proud person who had the opportunity to go to Baylor. So that's the bear. So it's
Ah,
salty for the beach and bear for my Sikkim Bears.
yes, your alma mater. All right, all right. I get it. I'm putting the pieces together. And you don't just make charcuterie boards, you make other stuff as well, right?
Right. I make just about anything. I always say if you can find a picture of it, I can make it.
Okay.
Um, I've recently added welding to my repertoire, so that's pretty fun. And I'm
Yeah.
really enjoying that. That's a whole different medium, and it's more forgiving in some ways and less forgiving in some ways. So it's a very interesting thing for me to learn. But if it adds to my ability to create cool things, then I'm all for it. So.
Definitely.
Um, I've made full sets of outdoor patio furniture. I am sitting on or not sitting on the table, but sitting at a table I made out of completely reclaimed wood. So I'm just learning and trying to expand what I can make.
What is your favorite wood to work with?
Oh, wow. um,
I bring the hard hitting questions, Matt.
right, yeah. You're trying to stump me here. So here, actually, I have for my in grain, with the engraving, which is kind of what is setting me and making a name for me, this is a cherry board,
Okay.
and it is my favorite for engraving just because it shows the engraving the best. But my favorite would have to be walnut, just because it's a very rich and it has lots of color. And if you get some, which is kind of hard to find, but that has what's called sapwood.
Okay.
Um,
What's that?
Sapwood is, let me see. I got this checkered one that is cherry and walnut. So I don't know if you can really see it in the video, but like, see how the wood gets lighter right there?
Yeah, I see the fade.
That is sapwood, and it'll get light, and some of it'll get almost white.
Oh,
There's a
wow.
couple I made for Christmas orders that it looked like two pieces of wood.
Oh,
It
cool.
was so different. And I just like that about the walnut. The hardest one I use is the light colored, and it's a maple. It's a hard maple, and it is sturdy as sturdy can be. But so they all have different things about them I like. So I just have to say walnut, I guess.
Okay, walnut it is. Now, when you say hard, do you mean like it's physically hard or it's difficult to work with, or it's both? It's kind of like a muse for you.
A little bit of both. All three of the woods I've been talking about are extremely hardwoods, and we use them because they are hardwoods, as in physically hard, not hard to work with. They can be a little hard to work with, the maple in particular, but the woods I choose are better because they'll last longer with knives and whatnot. That's also why I use the end grain as opposed to something like this, which is what they call face grain
Okay.
or edge grain. This is edge grain. The
Okay.
knife, this is just softer. If you think about a 2x4, when you sand the end of it, it's harder to sand than it is the top.
Okay.
It's
Yeah.
just tougher that on that part. So that's what I use for all the other boards you've seen. This is more of a show board, a charcuterie board. The others are, full grade chef cutting boards.
How do you advise people to take care of their boards once they have them?
Number one rule, never, ever, ever put them in the dishwasher.
Okay.
Most of them are too thick to do anyway. You couldn't get it in your dishwasher. You would have to go way out of your way. But that's the fastest way to ruin one. And don't leave it outside. I mean, you can take it outside and use it, but don't, especially this time of year in this part of Texas with the up and down
Yeah,
temperature.
hot or cold, wet, not wet, we don't know. It's going to be covered in pollen for sure today.
Exactly. Yeah, today's especially bad with the cedar. But that'll warp it and cause bad things to happen to it. But what I do is I cover them. There's no stain, and everything on my boards are absolutely 100% food safe.
Okay.
From the glue I use to the wood I use, and then the final step is I put a high-grade mineral oil on it, which gives it the shine. So the only thing you really need to do is soap and water. And then if you feel like it's fading on you, you can get a high-grade mineral oil from your local hardware store. Butcher block wax will work, and that's it. I mean, it's pretty easy. Just, don't soak it in the sink. Don't leave it in water overnight or something like that. That would warp it as well.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, it's pretty simple. Soap and water, and then if you want to, the mineral oil.
Awesome. So before we run out of time, Matt, I want people to be able to find you. Where can we find you?
Well, I have a few places. I have an Instagram, which is Salty Bear Co. Boards. I also have a website that is up and running. It's not quite complete. I've been working on it quite a bit this morning. It is saltybearcoat.com.
Okay.
I'm also on Facebook, and I just use my regular one. It's Matt Aycock. And then you'll see a picture of me with a stack of boards, and
we'll know it's you.
And also there's email, which is saltybearco@gmail.com is the one I'm trying to get everybody to switch to,
Okay.
so that it stays focused on just that and not my Baylor emails coming in.
Yeah. It's interesting once you go into business, like suddenly one day you wake up and you're like, oh yeah, everything has to move. Like, no, no, friend, don't communicate with me here about business. Communicate over here. So we definitely want to drive people in the right place. And I believe you also have a little workshop at an undisclosed location. Do you want to talk about that for a minute before we sign off?
I do, and I know there's a few around Dripping Springs area. I don't believe there's one actually in Dripping Springs, but I know New Braunfels has one, San Marcos has it, Austin has it, San Antonio has a couple. They're called a makerspace. And what they are is they're essentially it's a gym and you pay a monthly membership with no contract, unlike most gyms. Um, but you go in and it basically has every tool you can think of. And each one's a little different. They're all independent. Um, some have welding, some don't. Some have a lot of computer stuff, 3D printers, woodworking, pottery. If you have any hobby that you feel is kind of too expensive or too much of a pain to get going, a makerspace is a fantastic place. And all you have to do is Google makerspace, whatever part of Texas, Central Texas you're in, and something will pop up.
Awesome. Awesome. So if people have questions about that makerspace component, we just heard how to find Matt on the World Wide Web. So also reach out to him there. I think that kind of wraps us up, but I hate to cut you off. You've given us such good insight on what you do, and your products are really, really beautiful. Is there anything you wanted to share before we said goodbye today?
Well, just a big thank you. And I hope everybody enjoys my boards and gets to use them like I would love them to.
Absolutely. Well, Matt, thank you so much for taking the time as well. I really, really appreciate it. It was awesome to learn more about you. So, just under his name here, you see how you can get in touch with Matt for his boards. And this wraps season 2, episode 2 of Here's the Drip with Ashley Tellis. We'll see you guys soon. Okay. Bye.